Not everyone has acres of backyard space, but with good small garden ideas, you can transform your courtyard, patio, balcony, or deck into your dream outdoor garden. We just need to be a little bit more creative about how we use the space and what we grow. So please don't let a small yard deter you from being able to grow a bounty of fresh veggies. I've got plenty of ideas and tips to help you grow veggies in any size space. What some people may think is a disadvantage, I see as an opportunity to experiment. So stay tuned with me and let me share 5 ways of how to maximize your garden space. And number 1 on our list is to grow vertically. It's a very obvious thing to do when you have a small space, but still not so many people are practicing it. There are many things on the market right now that you can purchase and add to your garden. Things like green stock towers, also known as vertical planters, that are stackable. They are so awesome. You can grow a ton of food with relatively small space. I am really happy with my green stock towers. Everything grows so well in there, and I think the money was well spent. Another vertical growing thing that I have in the garden is this herb tower that I purchased a couple of years ago, and I usually grow herbs in here. There are so many different options on the market. I am sure that there are even bigger ones and more compact ones, of course. I got this one because it fits my space perfectly, and I can have all of my basic herbs in one spot. I grow cilantro, parsley, dill, chervil, and I believe tarragon in there. I love all of these herbs, and I like having them by my back door, so anytime I'm cooking I can just come out and grab some herbs and have them in my cooking. It is very convenient, and this tower doesn't take much space. Another option is to have elevated raised beds with either storage option underneath, or there are some that have a shelf. Also, traditional trellises are great to grow vertically. Things like cucumbers, zucchini, and other things that climb up. Also pole beans, peas. I grow my cucumbers vertically every year, and I have a great harvest. Also, some berry bushes that climb up can be grown on trellises, like grapes. This is my schizandra vine. I grow it on a trellis. Also, kiwi vines can be grown the same way, either on a trellis or on the ark. Also, there are trellises that are known to be as tomato cages, but you can use them not only for tomatoes, but for other crops as well. You can see here I'm using this round tomato cage as a peas trellis, and it works out really well. And of course, I use these tomato cages for what they were intended for, tomatoes, and it works great because tomatoes don't crawl out everywhere. They are nice and compact in these cages. And what's great that they can be used in containers as well. Next on our list is hanging containers or hanging baskets. You can hang pots of strawberries, green peas, or other fruit and veggies from the fence, from the awning on your windows, or the arc in your garden. There are even stakes for the garden that you can hang a basket from the stake. Also, another way is to put hanging baskets on the railing of your stairs. You can see here I was growing radishes in such hanging containers, and they grew really well. And these were my front door baskets, which means I like to have flowers in there for decor, but I put some radishes in between and nobody even noticed. You can even grow tomatoes and cucumbers in hanging baskets. You can see here I had a tomato growing in the hanging pot, which was on the fence, and it was producing really good. So don't be afraid of experimenting and use some of that fence space that you may have in your small garden. Now that I've tried tomatoes, I will be trying cucumbers in hanging pots as well. Another way of maximizing the garden space in a small garden is to use patio or container varieties. So certain varieties were bred to be small, to not take a lot of space. So traditional tomatoes and cucumbers are large. They grow to be tall and take a lot of room. But there are varieties of both of these fruit. They stay small. Like this variety of cucumber is called Space Master. It's a bush variety, doesn't take much space. You can grow it in container. And this variety of a tomato is really miniature. It's called Orange Sun. There is another one called Micro Tom. They're both really small and can be grown in tiny pots. Besides those varieties that were bred to be patio or container friendly, there are also veggies that just don't grow big. They are naturally small and compact. So things like bush beans, for example, they don't take much room. Also peppers. Most pepper plants are really compact and they can be grown in containers and pots perfectly. Most of my peppers I grow in containers. In areas where it's hot and they don't have cold, frosty winters, peppers can be perennial, so they can get really big. But because I live in a cold climate, I live in Chicago, I grow peppers as annuals. So for me, there is no reason for them to be planted in in-ground space. I can just plant them in containers. Other vegetables that don't grow really big are leafy greens and herbs. Of course, some leafy greens can grow big and tall, things like kale and lettuce if you let it go to bloom, but you don't have to do that. You can just treat them as cut and come again, which means that they will always stay small. When you have a lot of room, big space garden, you can grow all food you need at the same time, in the summer, for example. But if you have small garden, you want to extend your growing season, which means you can succession plant. So you can have 3 or even more harvests a year. And of course, people with warmer climates can grow all year round, but I live in a cold climate zone, zone 5, in Chicago, Illinois. And most people here think there is only one season, summer, but that's wrong. You can have a harvest in the spring, another one in the summer, and then a third one in the fall. And I do that by extending my growing season with the help of portable greenhouses, roll covers, also cold frames. I use cold frame in the spring. You can see here I was growing, I think, radishes and spinach and lettuce under there. And then in the fall I'll be using it again to protect some of those plants that are frost tolerant, but they will not tolerate hard frost. So these season extensions are really helpful. And because of them, I can have 3 harvests a year from the same spot of land. But that means I always need to have seedlings ready to go in the spot that's getting empty. So as soon as I pull out my spring crops, I have summer seedlings ready to go in that spot. And I have a tiny greenhouse where I keep all of my seedlings. Usually in winter, I start some of the things indoors, and then later I harden them off in the greenhouse and start other things from seed. And it's a cycle of seedlings just being started in little tiny cups, and then they go in the garden into empty spots. This way I get maximum production out of my garden. If I was directly sowing all seeds in the garden, I wouldn't be able to have 3 harvests a year. So we discussed 5 different methods of how to maximize harvest from your garden. Number 1, it was to grow vertically. 2, using hanging baskets and containers. 3, planting patio and container varieties. 4, veggies that naturally just don't grow big. And 5, extending growing season so you can have more harvests. I hope you've enjoyed these ideas and they will be helpful for your gardening. If you have any advices how to maximize the space in your garden, please comment below and share with all of the gardening community here. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.